to DCS FW-190D9 Dora taxi and takeoff training. I'm Top Gun with the AKA War Dog Squadron. So the Focke-Wulf is very similar to the P-51 in the fact that it's a tail dragger. It's got a pretty wide undercarriage stance, and the tail wheel operates in the same manner, whereas if you push the stick forward, the tail wheel is free spinning, and if you pull it back into your lap, it's locked in place. I'll go ahead and open up my controls indicator so you can see what I'm doing with my stick, my rudder, throttle, and brakes. So let's go ahead and contact ATC to get taxi clearance so they're not yelling at us as we start moving. So activate the comms menu and request taxi.
Kudasi, Springfield 1-1. Request taxi to runway. Springfield 1-1. Kutaisi, clear to taxi to runway 8.
Alright, so I'm going to do a quick demo of the tail wheel here. So let's go ahead and rev up the engine a little, and we'll push the stick forward, and I'll just hit the left brake. So you'll want differential brakes for this. You'll need one key for the left brake, one for the right brake, so that you can do stuff like this, because it will be rather important to be able to do differential braking. It doesn't spin as freely as the P-51 does, but it will if you give it enough power. So you'll be using the free spinning and locked attitudes of the tail wheel along with doing a zigzag taxi pattern so you can see where you're going. So I'll go ahead and null out that with the opposite brake and pull the stick back to lock it. And now we'll just do some taps of differential brakes to swing over so we can look out the left side of the window, and we'll just zigzag back and forth. And now we'll go ahead and unlock the tail wheel, and we can more easily zig back and forth here. And once you know the layout of the airfields better, you'll need to do less zigging and zagging as well. And of course, you don't have to do this as fast as well. You can take your time. There's no rush about it. And it'll help keep you out of trouble too if you're doing this a lot slower. Alright, so once we get to the hold short line, let's go ahead and stop. We'll get clearance to take off here. So comm menu and then request takeoff.
Kudasi, Springfield 1-1. Request takeoff. Springfield 1-1. Kutaisi, you are cleared for takeoff when ready. Climb 300 at QFE 29.77.
And now that you've got the QFE, you can adjust your altitude, pressure on your gauge as necessary. Usually it's already set to 0, but just in case it's not, you can adjust here. So let's get out onto the runway. And if you want, if you're on a server or you're just flying by yourself, you can, if the server permits, you can hit F2 and just kind of cheat to help you line up on the runway. So release brakes and we'll get moving here. So keep your eyes on the control indicator once we get started rolling down the runway here. So I'll unlock so I can turn around, get lined up on the runway here. And with the German aircraft, you can do a takeoff with the MW-50 system on or off. I haven't really seen a huge difference either way. So I'm going to go ahead and get stopped here. And again, you can hit the F2 to, if you want to cheat, to get lined up perfectly. And of course, make sure that your flaps are set to takeoff. So it should be reading 10 degrees on the indicator. Should be the middle button on the flap panel here. And that's pretty much all you need. So I tend to do a quick approach to takeoffs, whereas I advance the throttle pretty much to the stops, not instantly, but very quickly, but gradually. You'll want to do a little bit of right rudder and right aileron, and with this aircraft you'll also want to stick the stick back in your lap to lock the tail wheel. And once you start getting some responsiveness from the flight controls, that's when you need to start nulling those controls out to neutral, and you may need to press forward actually once you initially lift off so that you don't get too much nose up attitude. So let's go ahead and get started. And you may need a little bit of differential brakes to get started, but you shouldn't need too much if you're lined up well. And null things out. And up we go. Get a positive rate of climb and pull your gear in. And then pull your flaps in. I've got mine key bound, so obviously that right there for full up. You can use F2 to verify that everything's closed up. And you're good to go at this point. Now at this point you'll want to arm your cannons. And during the startup sequence, you already turned on the gun sight, so you should see your crosshairs. And that's pretty much it. You're up and rolling. So, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you.